Hi, Mayank. I think you should start.
All right, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
American sociologist Daniel Bell once said, technology, like art, is a soaring exercise of human imagination. We can say that science is simply the word we use to describe a method of organizing our curiosity, and that method is called technology. In these modern times of exponential development, it is pretty evident that it's not just that we use technology, we live technology. Thus, on the same note, I am elevated to welcome everyone to Sardar Patel International Conference on Industry 4.0, Nascent Technologies and Sustainability for Make in India initiative. I wish you a very good afternoon and extend my warm welcome to all of you present. My name is Mayank Patankar and I am exhilarated to be your host for this session. I felicitously welcome our Honorable Program Chair, Dr. Kiran Bhule Sir, Conference Chair, Dr. Santosh Rani Sir, Principal of SPIT Mumbai, Dr. B. N. Chaudhary Sir, and Principal of SPC Mumbai, Dr. Mohan Murdi Sir, and our panel members, moderators, our exemplary authors, and everyone else. Before we embark onto this session, I feel deep honor to welcome and introduce our panel members. I welcome our panelist, Dr. Vinita Bhula. She is the Assistant Dean at EMBA and Executive Education at the SPICON School of Global Management, Dubai, Mumbai, Singapore, and Sydney. An accomplished senior management professional in education and management consulting. She has more than 25 years of experience in academia and corporate. She is presently the Assistant Dean for SPGN School of Global Management for Executive MBA and the heads the Executive Education from India. She has designs, develops, facilitates, and programs for clients such as Kalpataru, Procter& Gamble, Mahindra& Mahindra, Bosch, and many others. Dr. Vanita mentors executives and doctoral students. She has several publications in her name and the only women representation and interviewed from India among 21 women from 17 countries for the book published Women in Project Management. She is currently managing more than 40 ongoing corporate accounts in executive education apart from regular teaching. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us today.
Thank you, Mayank.
Our next panelist is Dr. Dibmalya Chatterjee. He is currently professor and head operations and supply chain area at SBIGMR. He holds a PhD in multi-criteria decision making from Indian School of Mines, IIT ISM Dhanbad, MTech in operations research from National Institute of Technology, IIT NITD, and MSc in mathematics from University of Burdwan, West Bengal. He is also trained at Harvard Business School, Boston, on teaching pedagogy. His research interests are in the areas of multi-criteria decision-making applications to business, interpretive structural modeling application, and fuzzy cognitive map applications. He teaches subjects such as operations research, business research methods, service operations, quantitative methods, problem solving and decision making, operation management, and simulation modeling with Arena. Dr. Chatterjee is in academia for the last 16 years and has taught various courses including quantitative methods, business research methods, problem solving and decision making, operations research, operations management, and simulation modeling with Arena. He has done MDPs on data driven decision making, problem solving skills for ICICI managers, and project managers management for managers at L&T. He has published PRJs in listed journals, ABDC, and also published cases in Ivy Publishing Canada. Besides, he has presented papers in a number of national and international conferences and has won a couple of awards. The last assignment was with TA Pai Management Institute, Manipal, for 6.5 years and served as area chairman, operations management, and chairman hostels. He was also instrumental in the college's retaining AACSB accreditation. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Our next panelist is Professor Ravindra Baliga. He is a mechanical engineer with postgraduate qualifications in management from SPGN Institute of Management and Research, Mumbai. He has worked in leading companies in steel, Tata Steel, Pharma, Core Healthcare Limited, FMCG, Godrej Sara Lee Limited, and Jane Morrison, Biomedical, Transition Biomedicals Limited, and Printing Industries, Repro India Limited. His techno-commercial experience of over 23 years was both strategic and tactical. He has worked in the shop floor and factory management, overseas projects at Sri Lanka, Dubai, and Africa, logistics and distribution, and purchase and materials management. Because of an abiding interest in academics, he joined KJ Somaya Institute of Management and as a full-time faculty in operations and SCM. He successfully defended his thesis in the area of SCM in March 2020, leading to the award of the degree of Fellow of NITIE, which is equivalent to the PhD. The subjects taught by him at KJ Somaya include operations management, logistics and supply chain management, project management, total quality management, international logistics, and service operations. Thank you, sir, for joining us today. Our
Yeah,
next
thank you.
panelist is Professor Satish Barut. He is the coordinator and controller of examinations at SPCE Mumbai. He was lecturer in mathematics, Sardar Patel College of Engineering, Andheri from 1997 to 2006. He is an assistant professor at Sardar Patel College of Engineering, Andheri from 2006 to till date. He is also the controller of examinations, Sardar Patel College of Engineering, Andheri, and the director of Kirtanjal Academic Solutions Private Limited. He is also the founder of Startup Seam, which is a mobile application and a digital book. He is a recipient of the National Board for Higher Mathematics and BHM Fellowship for the year 1995 to 1997. Qualified joint CSIR UGC Junior Research Fellowship JRF and eligibility for a lectureship National Eligibility Test NET. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us today. Our next panelist is Dr. Sangeeta G. Dhatorde. She is currently professor and head of Department of Physics at Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Technological University. She holds a PhD in the area of nanoferrites, MSc in Physics 1994 at Ahmednagar College, BSc in Physics in 1992 at New Arts, Commerce and Science College, Ahmednagar. From the last 22 years working in the Department of Physics, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Technological University, initially as assistant professor from 2011, as associate professor from 2016, and as professor from July 2020, and head and professor till date. She has also been published in multiple international journal publications. She is a recognized PhD guide in the Department of Physics in Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Technological University. She has attended and presented multiple research papers in multiple national seminars. Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us today.
Thank you, Mayank.
I would invite a student panelist, Vineet Mankar. He is also the General Secretary of SPC. Last but not the least, the moderator for this session, Mr. Kunal Dani. He's a versatile, entrepreneurial minded professional with a unique background that expands over different verticals within a company. He has a cumulative 5+ years of experience across digital media and electronics technology industry and has helped develop skill sets with end-to-end project management, business development, technical and communicational skills. His projects have mainly revolved around business and product strategy, data analysis, and marketing communication. Working in the broad spectrum ranging from an agency to an industry body and a startup has provided him a cross-cultural and cross-functional team exposure. Is the co-founder and director of Atoms Alive Technologies. He has been a business delegate for Harvard Project for Asian and International Relations. He was the manager of BARC India. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us today.
Thank you, Mayank, and hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Hello.
Mayank, once again, thank you so much for that kind introduction. I'm sure there's more to this with everyone, not just the panelists, me, but you yourself. And I'm sure we are all delighted to discover those aspects from everyone in this discussion going ahead. So, without any further ado, let's just get at the topic why we are here for this afternoon. So, to begin
Kunal,
with,
I
let me.
think Professor Ravindra wanted to say something.
All right. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
No, not really. I think Mayank missed out one thing that I am also alumnus of SPC.
Oh, yes,
I passed out way back in 88. Yeah, so I'll of course share some of the experiences. So yes, so I was a student of SPC and also SPJ. SPJ I completed in 94, 92, 94. So I worked in between for 4 years. So that was all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Great. So in that case, we are truly honored to have you here back again with regards to this conference being arranged by SPC in that case.
I mean, yeah, Santosh Rane called me and just said that this is the program. And of course, I had no idea about it. I am from the supply chain area, but since it was from my alma mater, I straight away agreed.
Right, but I'm sure you would still be of a value addition with regards to key insights. Let's
Yes,
well
yes,
into the discussion, and I'm eagerly waiting
yeah,
to learn something from you in this thing. Great. All
sure,
right.
sure.
So without further ado, let's just get into the topic why we all are here for. To begin with, let me just throw a big number to all of those who are actively looking to learn something out of this. And at the same time, for all of those who are gotten into a little snooze mode right after the lunch in this post-lunch session. So $247 million. Any guesses what this number would be? Or something as big as 16 million. Well, let me tell you, KPMG actually officially addresses these numbers from their recent report on online education in India. And this is fairly recent from 2021 with a study done in 2017 as well. So the numbers essentially, which is $247 million, is basically how big the ed tech industry in our country is. Isn't that a staggering enough number? It's pretty big, right? At the same time, the 17 million is nothing else but the users, the paid users in this edtech industry, meaning everyone sitting here in the audience, the students, us, faculties, panelists who've ever used an app that has either something to do with providing e-learning solutions or being a consumer of them with regards to some courses online or whatnot. Yeah. So as we see that traditionally we've been known as the land of education, the Oxford of the East, right? So education has always been an ever evolving part with regards to the Indian history. But where we are today is something that's really important to acknowledge clearly because of the pandemic. The surge with regards to high penetration of smartphones, data usage, internet, as well as all of that comes along with it with regards to digital technology is something that has disrupted not just education as a domain, but even others. But speaking with regards to the education domain, especially everything that went into during the pandemic, we all somewhere witnessed online education with regards to learning, providing lectures, the assignments. For over a year, we all were in a mode not just with regards to working, but also learning online. While that has changed, and in the beginning, Vanita ma'am rightly mentioned, today it has gotten into a hybrid mode. But it's important to acknowledge that and understand what has really gotten into it. Why this number of $247 million is as big of a number that it is. Are there any nuances to it? Do we really contribute to something to that? Is it going to go big, less? And for that, this is the panel that we have over here, which is going to discuss around a very broad spectrum of a topic as such, that is technology in the education system. We could further go ahead because it's pretty broad with regards to a spectrum. We could go ahead and keep it directional with regards to digital technology, with regards to how it is shaping the pedagogy, how it is shaping the learning curve with regards to students, the nuances with regards to challenges or providing solutions into that, things around tech and product development, and most importantly, what it is actually for our fellow panelists as authors to contribute onto a digital platform as someone who's an e-publisher. And of course, none of this is going to be complete without understanding how much of an impact it has onto a student's life who is actually onto the learning end of it. With this very brief but little specific introduction to the discussion, let us actually begin into a question starting with Vanita ma'am. And with regards to her cueing experience of over 2 decades, I'd genuinely like to appreciate that, ma'am, especially where you are associated with academic or academia as an industry. I'm sure you've seen the transformation of technology in education. Could you give us a bird's eye view of how it looks like?
Sure. Well, technology has come a long way. I don't need to even mention about it, right? In the past 2 decades, from where we've been as students to what our kids are as students, right? You can I mean, it's just as a very humorous thing that, now children are born with technology, and having, bringing up kids who are iGen, right? Right from 1995 onwards, we are dealing with the learners who have a very different mindset. Having said that, digital transformation trends have impacted us very, very heavily, right? The education industry itself. And I would say it has not only affected just the education system, but it has also impacted the way it is delivered, that is for the teachers, as well as the way it has been assimilated by the learners, the way it has been taken by the learners in terms of both its usage and the other approaches that we talk about. So, most importantly, two blocks of changes that I have seen in the educational environment. One is, of course, the pedagogical approaches that we have, and the second being the institution processes. So, these are the two blocks of change that has taken a leap. And having faced almost 2.5 years of the COVID environment, which has, of course, disrupted the whole learning and the modes of deliveries and so on, a high level of ownership has been both with the learners and the facilitators. It has impacted the environment. It has impacted the way technology has innovated, and people have innovated technology in the space of education. And also, the third crucial thing is about adoption of these technologies, right? So, adoption of these technologies in these institutions, how far have they gone? To what extent have we actually leveraged it? All that talks about volume of technological changes in this space of education. I would say it has been a very, very dramatic change. And if I have to very specifically respond to your question as a bird's eye view of technologies, then let me tell you that, first and foremost is the anytime and anywhere kind of learning that we've got into, which means we've got learning outside of the classroom. And that would to put it in short, we've got into a mobile based learning, right? Which means that now education is available to everybody, right? Whether you're in a tier 1 city or a tier 3 city, whether you're in a economically underdeveloped kind of a country, doesn't really matter. Ebooks, the next part is the ebooks, where we now don't have to carry volumes of textbooks along with us, or rack up with a lot of textbooks that we've been living with all throughout. We can embed things within our ebooks itself. We can annotate them. We can look at grammars. We can look up. Google is a good teacher when students are in a classroom. I have seen that even if you use one particular vocabulary, they are quickly getting into Google and searching, oh, has the teacher delivered the right thing and the right approach, and so on and so forth. So it's already there. Google will have answers. What Google will not have is the question. So, as facilitators, we have to be very aware of, are we grooming and training them in terms of the right questions in this technological world? Because we have to remember that students are getting into jobs, and the jobs that they're getting into is also highly disruptive in technology.
True.
So, as educational institutes, are we prepping them up for these kind of technological, things or changes or innovations that they're going to get into in the industry? Important. The third kind of approach that I have seen in academia may not be in multiple countries, but yeah, most of the developed countries are also using what is called as game-based approaches, right? Now, when you say a game-based approaches is typically there is a concept of what is called as an applied learning and an action learning, right? Applied learning is where we allow the students to learn themselves and just facilitate them to give them a direction and a roadmap for learning. All right. And we talk about action learning, where we are talking about its application. Whatever they learn as a concept, are they being able to apply it in the right way? That is very important. The next aspect is collaborative learning that I have noticed. When you say collaborative learning, we are now talking about systems of systems, which means that we are talking about machine talking to machines, right? So we have two panelists who are right from the space of supply chain. They would know that the AIs and the augmented realities and all that. We no longer need to be in a factory and so on, but we can still operate it at a distance and so on. So is it also possible in education? I mean, in terms of, if you look at educational institution collaborating with very specific high-end education. For example, a luxury management kind of course where we've collaborated with an Italian school which is only into luxury management. So
Okay.
are we collaborating learnings, right? These are many things that we could look at technology. And the most important, probably one of the aspects is immersive learning. When you say immersive learning, we are again getting back into those highly innovative technologies like your augmented realities and virtual reality. I personally I teach through a system called as the engaged learning online. And currently,
Okay.
if you look at from my perspective and my experience, I'm teaching almost 24 active EMBA batches. And this all happens through an engaged learning online. So we are talking about virtual learning. Is it possible for us to also understand and travel inside a human body, see how the human body fights the diseases? These are all immersive learnings that we have. And today's children, today's students, we can say, or today's participants, we could say, enjoy this form of training. How equipped are we as facilitators? How equipped are we as educational institution is a question possibly we'll have to ask for, right? Um, and let me talk about, because our theme is on sustainability, Kunal. So, it is important for us to join hands with this aspect of sustainability and technology both, right? And when we talk about sustainability, we go back to what is called as United Nations, right? We talk about the 2015 SDG goals that we have.
Yes.
We talk
Yes.
about the sustainable development goals. We talk about three important goals for education. One is, of course, the fourth goal, SDG 4, which talks about quality education.
True.
Are we really giving quality education across the globe? Is educational as a fundamental right being given to all the children? Well, UNESCO's data does not say that. You used a number, $257 million, right? Let me tell you, 258 million children have not got education in the last 2 years, even though we are talking about technology today. All right. Let's talk about the other SDG important for education, SDG 9, which talks about innovation infrastructure. Does our educational system have the right infrastructure and the innovative mindset to adopt to those changes, which I told you in the beginning? All right. And last but not the least, SDG 11, where we are talking about sustainable cities and communities and so on. How far have we gone to industrial cities only in our country? Forget about the globe also. Only within our country, how far have we gone to industrial cities, right? When we talk about tier three cities or villages and so on, to ensure that this technology has reached there. I think if we combine these two, sky is the limit.
Ma'am, you brilliantly put so many aspects with regards to a bird's eye view of the transformation. Honestly speaking, the approaches, the impact that it has actually had, and certain of your anecdotes with regards to 24 of those batches that you are currently teaching. Actually, I would like to ask you honestly, how has the transformation been for you personally?
Well, currently I am teaching some of the institutions in India, as well as I'm engaged with international teaching. And I enjoy teaching the executives for the only reason because of the immense experience that they bring in, right? I mean, but however, that does not mean that I would not like to, engage with youngsters or students and so on. So, in terms of my own transformation, in terms of my own learning, I have seen a lot of changes happening in my own understanding and transformation of technology. And like I said, the sky is the limit in understanding it. We have to be risk takers. Okay, very important is I have understood that we have to be risk takers, because tomorrow, I mean, within a year's time, when I will have a workforce which is kind of a Gen Z, okay, and age of my daughter, and if she starts talking to me through emojis and so on, even in a classroom, I'll have students like that, right? So for me, it's a learning curve, and every time as a faculty, let me tell you, I possibly spend more amount of time learning and learning and learning and learning technology. Okay, there is no concept of unlearning in my case. It's only learning and learning, because I mean, it changes every day. We are living in a disruptive environment where we are not dealing only with the VUCA word anymore. We are working with D-VUCA D. And when I say a D-VUCA D, the D stands for disruption, A, and the D stands for diversity. So for me, as a person who belongs to an educational institute and as a faculty, it's important that I bring in this perspective where I know I'm dealing with different cultural individuals. I'm also dealing with a situation which is changing every day, right?
Awesome. In fact, ma'am, that point about Gen Z workforce is actually something that actually, brought a smile on my face. Being a serial entrepreneur myself, I am dealing with a workforce who is already Gen Z and contributing into various critical domains. And yes, definitely, it's an entirely different topic to talk about. But coming back to the panel discussion and the theme, there is a point that you rightly mentioned with regards to the challenges that we perhaps need to address. Yes, while the $247 million number looks big, but there is also a significantly large amount of number where the education system has not really reached, especially into the tier 2 or 3 cities or smaller towns. This actually forms a prelude to my next question that I'd like to ask Dev Malya sir. With regards to your background into operations research and the academia association that you've had since over 2 decades, especially when you've nailed, problem solving and decision making in your day-to-day life, could you help us identify any of the challenges that maybe ma'am just briefly touched upon, but perhaps you could elucidate a little bit more onto it and help us understand if there are any solutions to these problems?
Okay. So I'll just break down the whole learning journey into 3 parts. So first, if you look
Okay.
at the recruitment of students into an institution, then the education that you impart, and the last part is preparing them for market. Right. Now,
Right.
if you look at the things that have happened, and Dr. Vanita rightly talked about, the waiting period as far as the learning is concerned has reduced significantly. When I say waiting period, what I mean is in our generation, if I had to get some concepts cleared by my professor, I had to wait for the day when I go back to college and talk to the professor and get it done. Today, it is in my fingertip. Right. Therefore, the students are no longer excited on topics that are already there in Google, or we call it Professor Google in the classroom. So if you are available in YouTube, you're available in free platforms, then that topic doesn't excite the student anymore. So as a faculty member, if I directly focus on the central part, which is the education, imparting education part, here, if you look at the current research, it's telling 17 minutes is the window, or even less today, when the student can concentrate. So if you bring in topics which are basically require the students to engage for longer duration, you need to take the help of technology so that the engagements are more immersive learning happen, like Vanita said, which is very, very important. So at an institution like SPJIMR, when we focus more on, experiential learning, right there, what happens today, it's no longer just the non-classroom learning, moving out of the classroom and learning. It is also inside the classroom, where the faculty members are learning along with the students. Where, earlier years, the faculty had an edge in terms of the knowledge of the subject. Today, the students are having a better edge in terms of the technology. So it's now a different platform where education being imparted. So that's the central part of the learning. As far as the recruitment of the students are concerned, if you see for schools, particularly if we look at engineering schools or management schools, it takes a lot of effort for an engineering school to hire good quality students. Today, when you are saying that you need to include people across different parts of the country or outside, how do you scale it up? Because if you're expecting students to come to Mumbai and do the interview process, etc., it becomes very, very challenging. So here comes the intervention of technology, where today you can reach out to any person sitting anywhere globally and giving you interview. Right. So, for example, in SPGM, suppose we are doing interview for a PGPM participant who is working right now in Dubai, and that person wants to give the interview for a program like this, we can take that, right? Which was not possible at all in the past. Coming back to getting foreign professors coming and teaching in a class, getting industry veterans coming and teaching in a class, you had to make sure that I get that person. So at a school like ours, maybe sitting in Mumbai, we had the age early. Right. I could reach out to some vice presidents or some CIOs or some CEOs to come to my class for 2 sessions, talk about what am I teaching in the class and how that can be connected in the industry. Today, you don't require that person. That person may be in Germany, maybe in Europe, maybe in USA at that moment of time, just that you have to plug in. That person can deliver that, learning to the students. So those are, very, very interesting things happening. And when it comes to recruitment, this is another very, very difficult and very complete, I would say, it's a completely different world altogether that you are heading for. Right. Why I said that? Because there is a change in the way people are learning. Number two, technology is bringing that or acting as a catalyst in that. And the organizations are basically trying to keep up quickly with the changing need. So if you look at, uh, you know, uh, 2 decades back, people joined organizations to earn bread and butter.
Yes.
Today, the uh, generation, the current generation, Y generation, oh, what is it called? I
Z, Generation Z, yes.
Generation Z. So those people basically don't find themselves comfortable in an organization because they are not there to earn bread and butter.
True.
So when
These
that
needs
kind
are
of a
taken care
change
of.
happening, they are expecting something more. And what is that more? Comfort, convenience, and stuff like that. And here comes the role of technology again, and the form of work from home that the world has seen in the last 2 years. So I see, technology cutting the education, the recruitment part, and the practical aspect, right, where we are basically sending the students to the market. Everything getting impacted in some way or the other.
Right. So, do you recognize infrastructure as a potential challenge or a problem with regards to including technology in the education system today, especially in the Indian context?
So if you look at most of the universities, they were the orthodox university settings in which the belief was more on personal one-to-one kind of education in which the professors were ready to impart education in a classroom setting. Now, as the requirement is changing, now along with the universities, these edtech firms have come up and they are heavily collaborating with universities, Indian or global, and giving them the platform of support. So scalability is no longer an issue. It's just that you have to have a right partner. Right. So even if as an university you might be technologically advanced, there are a lot of new universities coming up who are basically very, very tech savvy. Uh, for them, it is perfectly all right. For universities which are age old, even then, for them it is easy along with those partners. That's what I say. I don't see it as a challenge, but rather it's an opportunity.
All right. So actually, I appreciate there's this interesting point that you've brought here on the discussion around scalability, and that's exactly where I think Ravindra sir would be able to pitch in with regards to a couple of things around the technical or technology product development, especially with his years of experience as an aced academician and someone who enjoys teaching and research. And I'm sure everyone at KJ Somaya would attest to this. Sir, I would like to understand what are your views on the tech product development, and how do you think that facilitates advanced teaching with regards to an e-learning platform in the form of maybe an app, or some sort of YouTube channel? How do you see this as? What are your views on this?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Kunal. Before I begin, let me tell you about my for the people who are students of SPC, my experience in e-learning. Okay, so way back in '88, and I completed my engineering, mechanical engineering from SPC in '88. '87 was the first year we had computers, right? And when, yes, so that SPC computer center was established then. So I don't know how it is now, but at that time it was like going to a temple. You had to remove your shoes, you had to fix an appointment, and you get 30 or 45 minutes in that room, and you do what you have to do. So we were doing something called Fortran. I don't know.
Nostalgia, nostalgia. Sir, I'm really sorry to interrupt you on this, but this is true nostalgia. I actually
Yes.
see smiles on a lot of faces here on the panel. We've all had experienced that. But yes, sir, back to your story.
Yeah. So it was very interesting. And after that, after I moved into corporate, then of course there was a break. But then what we were talking about Gen Y, and Vanita also attributed that, the learning, the people, the children I see here are so smart that they're learning about their laptops and computer and their handhelds or the smartphones right when they are 1.5 years. So we started my generation started learning about computers when they were at 22, 23. So that is the generation shift which has happened. uh, Let me also tell you my experience as a teacher after this COVID happened, and what has we were in a really I mean, if I was talking about my personal experience, I was in a totally a blue funk because I don't know how to teach online. Okay, so that is the very honest, um, you can say, this is the honest thing that I have to say. And it was literally like, how do I really teach online? So the 2 years, but afterwards you started enjoying it. Of course, the first part was it always the difficult thing, but after that it was enjoyable. And once you started that, it's not very different. So coming back to what are the learnings, and so what are the learning that we are doing? Say for example, the blended learning, what Vanita also alluded to. So we have already started that for our part-time students. Not the full-time student, but for the part-time, we have the part-time management courses. So for them, of the pain areas was coming to classes in the evenings, in the weekdays, right? So from say was very difficult, and coming through traffic and all. So they would. So what we have done is the weekdays the classes are held online, and weekends the classes are held in the campus. Yeah, so that was the sort of so this kind of blended learning has started coming in, and maybe it's due to the COVID, but whatever, due to that pandemic, that thing has started coming in. Then I can say that about digital master classes, right? So what Demalya also said, right? You can have the access to, suppose I want to learn about statistics, and I'm not very not so very happy about my professor or my teacher. You can go to the YouTube and start learning about learning statistics from any scholar or teacher from MIT or from Harvard or from anywhere else. The opportunities are so many. Okay, so that was the thing that I had to say. And other thing were, I don't know whether it's spoken about, but games and simulation are also very, very specific things which we can use. See, normally when we teach theory, and then we say that apply this theory into your practice. Here people experience the thing, and they, so it's a, instead of deduction theory, we say the theory is induced. We do the something which is very new. So the student themselves have some experiences, and they come out with the theory. So this kind of learning could be far, far helpful, rather than just having the PPTs and just having the classroom learning, this kind of thing could be really useful. And thanks, Vanita, for the what is that? DUKD. Yeah, I'd heard of VUCA, but I'd not heard so much about the DUKD. So I just googled and searched. Is that the concept is there? It's a very new concept. I mean, for me, it's a new concept, but yes, leaves me to think about that disruption and diversity is also there in addition to the VUCA world. Yeah. So I mean, that's what I had to just think.
Thank you, Professor.
Say.
Great. Thank you, sir. In fact, like when you started with your journey and your days and how your initial interactions with technology was, especially a comp lab. And sir, I do not know if you've got the recent opportunity to get back to SPC, but I am damn sure that the comp lab currently here is of the state of the art architecture. But nonetheless, yes, you did identify a couple of attributes which are highly significant, especially on the newer formats of how digital technology with regards to education platforms should evolve. This actually makes me take this discussion a little forward on the same lines to Professor Varun. So we have someone amongst us who is an ace mathematician. That's his favorite subject. And with regards to teaching, apart from that, he's also a fellow entrepreneur. So let's hear about from him, especially with regards to certain gaps, if he could be able to identify that exist as loopholes probably into the education system, and how perhaps they can be solved for digitally. Satish sir, would you throw some light on this?
Sure, Kunal. Today is Dr. Srinivasan Ramanujan's birth anniversary. So it's a National Mathematics Day.
Okay, that's nice. It's an interesting fact.
So, as you said, is there any gap in traditional non-technological way of teaching and learning? So, technology is transforming education, changing how, when, and where students learn, and empowering them at every stage of their journey. Traditional non-technological way of teaching is generally teacher-centric, where students are just passive listener. But with the help of modern technological tools, we can make teaching learning student-centric. Technology empowers students by giving them ownership of how they learn, making education relevant to their digital lives and preparing them for their futures. With technology and access to resources beyond classroom walls, students are inspired to become problem solvers, thinkers, collaborators, and creators. Where technology has been successfully integrated into classrooms, students develop a lifelong love for learning. As Dr. Chatterjee said, educators are always striving to personalize learning for students. Technology can help educators create blended learning environment and leverage digital tools for formative and summative assessment, bringing new models for learning and teaching to the classrooms. So that's from my side.
Sir, in fact, like what you've identified, what aspects of these are being incorporated currently in Simbook? In fact, I would like here if you would explain everyone what Simbook and your association with it is with regards
See,
to this context.
you might have heard about micro-learning. Micro-learning is an education strategy that breaks complex topic down into short form, standalone unit of study that can be viewed as many times as necessary whenever and wherever learner has a need. So Simbook is the outcome of the challenges which I was facing while teaching mathematics to my students at SPC. So Simbooks is a mobile application which is a digital bookstore, and it can be used as an ICT tool for teaching learning. It is developed with the overall aim of increasing the effectiveness of teaching and improving students' learning. Traditional ebooks are just digital version of the printed books where there is restriction on number of pages and colors. But at same books, we use micro learning strategy where the whole book is divided into small topics of say 8 to 10 pages, which can be edited in real time by the authors or teachers so that students get latest error-free content in real time. Plus, there is no restriction on number of pages and color. so that authors and teachers can give detailed explanation with colorful illustration without worrying about the number of pages and cost of printing the books. Also, there are value-added features like micro-level hyperlink, using which user can hover from index to anywhere in the book and from anywhere in the book to index. So student get whatever they want within 3 seconds. So no need to scroll. And plus one more feature is there, students can directly interact with the authors to solve his or her doubt.
Interesting. In fact, here, sir, I'd like to circle back to the initial discussion that we started off with. Vanita ma'am did mention that e-learning through e-books is not really next, but the current in thing. That's how students or the younger generation is wanting to consume education or any form of learning as such, right? And I see Simbook somewhere in that space, which is providing that to students, regardless of the traditional form of education that they're anyway availing. Actually, on this note, I'd like to understand a couple of viewpoints from Sangeeta ma'am, and especially her
Sure.
contribution with regards to being an author onto traditional publishers, perhaps scholar journals, as well as the e-publishers. Ma'am, could you help us understand how do you do this and what are your viewpoints around this?
Yeah, sure, Kunal. From the desk of this conference itself, it is very much clear to everyone that how this education culture is shifting towards the e-learning sources for empowering our stakeholders like
Yes.
students. Okay, it is very much clear from this desk of our conference. Now, actually, this e-learning tool is very easy tool for making the complex or hard concepts. What I feel from my experience, because we have published students are purchasing also that, because from their views, it is clear that with these e-books they are making complex or hard concepts, okay, which are more digestible through these ebooks, because with the help of ebooks we can go for videos, we can go for audios, 3D pictures also we can show within that ebooks, and also with the help of animations, giving animations to some of the figures, we can clear the complex terms or hard terms, hard concept with the help of this all easiest tool which are used in our ebook. So students are gaining lot of knowledge which is in the easiest way. And one more thing that I want to tell you, this e-learning make the session more interesting than the traditional hard copy book style, okay. At the same time it keep the learner also attentive, and I can say this e-learning gives us very certain points related with easy accessible, because wherever we go, suppose that we are in traveling, we are doing some work, other work, at the same time we can use this e-learning source also. And one more thing, it is also easy to carry, okay, since device is very small, we can carry the e-material with very easily, and whenever we want we can access it. For updating also, suppose if there is any changes in that e-content, so if we are using the e-books, then it is very much easy for editing and for updating that contents also than that of the traditional hard copy books, okay. Effective interactive reaching experience to the students also we have observed from these e-books. It is easy to understand, okay, see, because see, single device with multiple access is also possible. Personally, I am saying for my subject, physics.
All right.
Because for physics, when we are teaching physics, we have to take the references of mathematics, chemistry. So at the same time, when he is going to study that ebook related with physics points, at the same time, he can take the reference of mathematics. He can take reference for chemistry book. So it is easily accessible for that students to go for different types of the references. So I think from my side, uh, this ebooks or whatever e-learning
Yes.
for the current technology is very much important, and it is emphasized uh, on learners and also teachers.
Interesting. It's an interesting outlook. In fact, I do not know how many panelists currently here who are authors onto traditional publishers would also agree to what Sangeeta ma'am said with regards to a radical shift with with the e-publishers. Like for example, we've got Simbooks here as well, which is one of the e-publisher for authors like Sangeeta ma'am or even others, academically or not contributing onto it. But I'm sure somewhere this radical shift is also important if you're talking about newer formats of providing, or imparting education, right? It could be, the game theory that Vanita ma'am talked about, even Ravindra sir mentioned about it, or certain immersive learning experience. While we agree that the newer age formats definitely provide for all of this, somewhere we should also make that transitional shift with regards to adopting these onto newer platforms, right? While the core continues to go where it is, let's also understand how a student's point of view is all about. With regards to this, we spoke, I think, substantial enough content with regards to how the learning pedagogy should be. The teaching, the methods, newer formats, how it's been traditionally, and what students perceive better. But hey, I think it's important to hear about it from someone who's a student representative amongst us, right? And we have with us today Vineet. He's a student currently pursuing his engineering, and we've exclusively called him here on the panel because I personally believe that the entire discussion should not be skewed, it should not be biased, right? No form of pedagogy, modern or not, is complete without a student's point of view. No matter if the student is an active learner or passive learner, an individual contributor, in the end of the day, the student is a critical part without which the entire education system won't be complete. So, Vineet, here I want you to please illustrate or add in your understandings with regards to how do students, or maybe the student community, if you represent right now on the panel, how do you think they consume the newer learning formats? Over to you, Vineet.
First of all, a heartiest good afternoon to everyone, and thank you so much for giving me a chance to express my ways and express my thoughts on such a big magnitude. So, first of all, I'll be very honest, there is this paradigm shift which is going on in the whole student community, wherein everyone is focusing on getting themselves involved into some or the other kind of exposure to the online material. Because if you see, as everyone has said, right from Vanita ma'am to even Satish sir, everyone is mentioning this constant thing ki there is no constraint involved in ebooks. We can change everything and anything as per our requirements at any point given point of time. So that is facilitating the because I as a student, if there are very various editions. There is a thermal system books, so there are various editions of the same book. There might be mistakes in some of the editions, but at the same time, some are corrected in the coming editions. So if by any chance I'm referring the prior editions, it would hamper my growth as well as it would give me incorrect knowledge. So that's why the thing which is affecting the students majorly, it's the ebooks are giving real-time knowledge, more or less. And that's, I'm telling you the good part, but at the same time, there are some flaws that our community as students are noticing more or less. So first of all, we as students prefer to write. Nothing can go into a brain without writing. So that's why I personally write before going to exam. I make notes of myself, and most of us do like that only. So for anyone, so for us, it's majorly important to have a web user base. If you're having books or any other books, ebook, it should be available in web page so that we can get a better screen or a better, bigger screen so that we can refer to it. At the same time, if you're referring to a mobile phone, there is also this social media bubble that is going on around. That if you get phones on your hands on your phone, there is 100% chance that you'll get involved into some or the other kind of social interaction, leading to distractions eventually.
True.
So, so it is basically a must requirement recently that the ebook or anything that is e-material should be uploaded or available in the web page or on the laptops. So that is one of the point. At the same time, there is this constraint of always going online and referring to subject or referring to the material. So one thing that matters most is getting the anything material downloaded. If we are able to have it offline mode, it helps us to communicate it with each other as well, so that it can build, it can actually help give us a platform to interact with each other. If there is a doubt in page number 19 in a book, that guy has to go out, go to library, take notice of the book. If it's available, good. If it's not available, he has to do something else. So there is always constraints involved when there is physical world or physical books involved into it. But at the same time, if there is a ebook and if it's open source, even better. In fact, there is an article. If we see, if there is an article we want to refer, there might be 10 perspective along the same side. It would give you a wider spectrum to think about the same object or same problem and get multiple solutions at the same time. So there is this thing called massive. When we are seeing constraints, so I only see the good ones. We will also talk about the bad ones. There is only one constraint when it comes to online. It's your willingness, your discipline. If you're not able to stick to your discipline, nothing, no matter how much matter you have or how much material you have, in the end, it's always going to be you and you, because there is no.
Vineet unfortunately has been dropped off. Nonetheless, I think we all heard of fresh, somewhere a little reassuring, but definitely an eye-opening outlook with regards to how a student perceives. And I'm sure when Vineet said that, he spoke on behalf of his friends or student community at SPC who could somewhere share similar thoughts. I think with this, we are moving towards the last leg of this discussion. We've got a couple of minutes left. So let's just open up for the questions from the audience. So we've got some minutes. Yeah, I think let's just open up the forum for questions. Would we have anybody from the audience to come up with questions? The chat
Hello,
box
sir.
here. Yes, there is someone.
Yes, I had a question. Is it fine if I speak in mic?
Harsh,
Or should I type?
Harsh, no, you could definitely talk about it right now, but it would be better if you real quick introduce yourself for all of us.
Yes, sir. So myself, Harsh Toronikar. I am from SPC, third year mechanical. Yeah, and I'm currently in third year of mechanical engineering. So, so yeah. So my question was, hello, sir.
Yes,
Can you
Harsh,
hear
go
me?
ahead.
Yeah. So, as we are currently studying and as we are currently students of engineering, how do we benefit from the advances in technology and learning solutions without being much dependent on academic infrastructure?
Interesting. But is this addressed to any particular panel or is it open for all?
Yeah, sir, it is open for anybody.
Okay, so anybody from the
Start.
panel who would like to take this? Maybe I can recommend Dave Malya sir, given the fact that he's also associated with Harvard and perhaps he could bring an anecdote of his here.
So, basically what is happening today is there are a lot of things that are happening. So, the learning particularly is happening more and more through videos and audios, and your institution do not require that repository. You can get an access to free content available, just that you need to understand where it is available and to what extent you can access that. Right. For example, NEPTEL has a series of video lectures already created by professors of IITs and other institutions, which are freely available for learning. So similar platforms are available in India. And outside, of course, there are MOOC videos available both from Coursera's or, those kind of platforms where you can get access to those. So that can be, one simple way of answering your question.
That's very specific and straightforward, but I think it is what it is. Correct. One should not be dependent or limited to what the infrastructure or resources is being offered, because there's a lot outside, and I think it's a matter of time that we need to be woke enough to be sure of which platform to go to or which books to refer to with regards to keeping ourselves updated. All right.
Just to complement what Devmalya said,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
Harsh, my answer to you is, and that's what I advise my own student. Say, suppose you have not seen a steel plant, possibly you would never have seen a steel plant, but you can go to YouTube and see. There are so many ways you can see that and see how the steel is made, right?
Yes.
You are, suppose you are not very happy, which I told in my small talk, and I said that suppose you are not very happy with the, say, suppose the way thermodynamics is taught in your class, right? You can go to the YouTube, you can take up courses on NPTEL, or you can take courses on Coursera on this particular subject, say thermodynamics, and you can do it. So today the world is open. It's only how you manage your time, and and many of the courses are free.
Yeah. So just a word of caution there, because I think this is also important for youngsters, because for us, we know where is the material coming from and what is the authenticity of the material. I would advise not to just go through any stuff available in YouTube. Just validate the source before getting in, because this is something that I have also seen people doing, referring back, saying that I have learned it from YouTube, which is complete disaster. So yeah, that's just a
Right.
pinch of salt. Yeah.
No, that's in fact so very nice of you to specifically highlight the credibility aspect. While we agree to the fact that the internet world is all open for us to access immediately, we also need to be aware about the fact that there's a lot of nuisance with regards to one concept. While there are multiple point of views, but unfortunately they might not necessarily be credible enough or substantiated with the correct data or the validated data sources
Right.
what we refer to. But yeah, I think Harsh, that has been a fairly rich answer.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate your responses. So, adding to the question, as Rikpalya sir said, there are a lot of sources. So, basically, there are multiple sources. And how can we classify on this particular subject we have to learn from that?
Okay. So a little more clarity in the question required. So do you mean that how do you understand? How do you know from where you need to search, or what is the
Yes,
question?
sir. Actually, what I'm saying is there are multiple sources available, and there is a lot of information which we can acquire. But
Hmm.
how can you throw some light on how should we manage our time and uh, do know about the particular sources? Can you recommend any particular sources? That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, okay. So since I'm not, teaching the course that you are referring to, so I won't be able to directly refer to some authentic sources. Maybe other panelists can do that. But when it comes to the question that how do I balance both, my learning and those supplementary stuffs. So of course, all of us learn in a different way. Right. So some of your friend might be like one of the panelists talked about, saying that I keep writing, and that helps me remember things, learn things. There are people who love listening to audios, videos, and that's their way of learning. Somebody wants to immerse themselves into activities, and they learn concepts from that. Therefore, all of us have different way of learning. So you have to first figure out what is your way of learning, right? So once you understand that this is your preferred way of learning, you can figure out the other things that follow. But otherwise, there is no one size fit jacket, basically. You know.
Right, Harsh. And with regards to your question on if anybody can refer you certain sources, perhaps that's a that's a very broad question to ask it on this forum. In fact, you could reach out to our brilliant panelists offline and perhaps seek some guidance with regards to any special areas of subject that you would want any source of learning from. With this, I think we still should be able to take one or max to max two questions. We've already 4 minutes post the
Um,
actual time, so I would give this opportunity to Archana.
sir,
Someone Archana, yes, yes,
yes, sir, yes, sir. I want to give the answer of this question, what he has asked.
okay.
Yeah.
Could you please reiterate the question for all of us?
Yes, yes, sir. The question is that how we find out whatever the online stuffs are available. This is for our proper stuff for our knowledge, and we should manage the time for selecting the proper stuff. So there are 3 4 points. Like the first point is mentioned, you need to write down whatever you want to judge. So while writing the question, you'll come to know this is your perfect question. Second thing, if you are in the class, while that topic has been taught, you just write down some keywords. So you will come to know that teacher has spoken about it. Third thing, whenever the videos are available, you shortlist some videos which are, once you will click on the YouTube, the first things which are coming, they are very important. You first listen to one video because the background knowledge of the teacher, what has spoke in the class is there. So you can correlate. Go through first video, which is 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and the consequence videos or the parallel videos of that topic, you go to double speed that video because you know the topic. And then after doing 3 4 videos, you will come to know this is the material, and you will yourself come to know that this is the proper material, and it will be available to you and it will be useful to you. So these are my some suggestions where you can find out which and how much timeline, time management, and perspective of learning you can find out from the material which is available on the net. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Great,
ma'am.
ma'am. Thank you so much, Archana, ma'am. I think you've given a very methodological answer, stepwise, to how one should filter out which is a credible source or not.
Thank you, sir.
And we really appreciate you being a part of this discussion as such. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your inputs.
Sir, it's a really nice discussion, and I am been since right from the 2 o'clock, and I am listening to all. I really beneficiated with the tips and tongues whatever given by the all the speakers. Thank you very much.
Yes, yes, ma'am. In fact, I also acknowledge your message on the chat box with regards to the point that Vanita ma'am said in
Yes,
the
sir.
beginning
Yes, sir.
with regards to Gen Z and
Yeah,
how
yeah.
much of a learning there is for all of us as a parent or as a teacher
Yes, sir.
at our workplaces, at offices, schools, everywhere, right?
Yeah, I'm so learning when it is coming with the soft board and we are teaching from the soft board only or smart boards. So my students are my learner for that. Like that they are teacher for me how to use, what to use. I'm learning every day from Gen Z at home as well as in the college. So Gen Zs are the Gen Zs only. We need to respect their knowledge. They have.
That's very true. That's very true. And I'm sure that has certainly brought a smile on a lot of Gen Z
Yes,
students
yes.
who are witnessing this panel discussion.
Yes, sir. But
Who are
some level,
listening.
they should depend on us only because wherever this, apart from this, some technical knowledge, they will come to us only for the
Great. Vanita ma'am, does this not make a good of an insight with regards to the Gen Z workforce that eventually sets in into our organizations?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, yeah. I agree to what Archana says, and it is a very crucial element because it's important for us to adopt to these kind of workforces, and the way also, we will have to mentor them, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. We need to mentor them because
Yeah.
we can use their knowledge and appreciate them that they are leading the generation. But definitely, somewhere after some time, we are their mentors at home as well as at the college.
Great, great, great. So I think we are exactly 2 minutes short to the 70-minute concentration cap that Dev Malla mentioned in his point earlier. I'm sure we do not want the students to lose their interest and concentration and snooze off. I'm pretty sure some of the students must be laughing out loud right now when I say this, but this also makes me somewhere wrap up our discussion. Unfortunately, we might not be able to take any more questions. If there are some questions in the chat box, or if anybody would have raised hands, we would be more than happy if you guys could reach out to us individually on LinkedIn. And I'm sure not just me, but even our brilliant panelists would be more than happy to answer your queries with regards to this discussion or not whatsoever. So finally, wrapping this up, all I could mention here in the form of a conclusion is that we really talked about some brilliant methods, techniques, and most importantly, formats that should go into the newer age of digital pedagogy. At the same time, some student perspectives with regards to how this is consumed, what gets prioritized, and why. and why certain e-books or e-learning platforms need to be of a particular type with regards to the revision, their editions, a particular format, be that a web page or a downloaded soft copy. While the course of the discussion certainly went progressively, ahead, I'm sure there are certain nuances which have a separate panel discussion on its own with regards to advantages, the cons part of it perhaps. But coming back to why we all got here together this afternoon, for acknowledging somewhere, addressing, and most importantly, highlighting the technology, or rather, I should say now, the digital technology in our education system. I genuinely thank all of you to take time out, share your insights, put some brilliant keywords, learning takeaways. I've already filled 2 pages of my book, jotting down every single point that I could learn today from all our brilliant panelists. And with that, I officially summarize and conclude this thing. Mayank, over to you if you have something to say. I think Mike is
Hello?
not a part of this. Oh yes, Mike, you're there. But wait,
Yes,
if
I'm
at
here, sir.
all you are wrapping it up, I should also extend the last opportunity to any of the panelists who would want to say something with regards to today's panel discussion. Anyone, Ravi sir, Bharat sir, Vanita ma'am, Dev sir.
Ramesh sir, for giving us this opportunity to conduct this panel discussion. And thank you, Vinita ma'am, Balika sir, Chatterjee sir, and Dhavatre ma'am.
Thank you.
And thank you,
Thank you,
Vinita.
sir. Thank you for giving this opportunity to all
Thank
of
you.
us also. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayank, you have something to say, right?
Yes, I would like to present a vote of thanks. I thank our panelists, Dr. Vanita Bhula, Dr. Demalya Chatterjee, Professor Ravindra Paliga, our DCOEs, Dr. Satish Barot, Dr. Sangeeta G. Thatore, for having such a thought-provoking and intellectual session. They explained to us topics such as SDG values, along with examples and data on sustainability. We also looked upon the outlook of Gen Z in today's career world. Also, we learned about project-based learning, empowerment of education through technology. We also learned a bit about microlearning. Further, we also had discussions on the utility of ebooks and other e-resources. I thank our moderator, Mr. Kunal Dani, for helping us facilitate this discussion. I would also like to thank all delegates for attending this session with utmost enthusiasm. It has been a great and interactive session. I wish you all a very good day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayank.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
Kunal.
Kunal.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
ma'am. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And last not the least, thank you, Kashmiri, for arranging providing IT support.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, while we spoke extensively on technology, luckily technology did not give in to any of the faults here. So
Yes.
thank you, ma'am, for the IT support.
Yes, sir. And I appreciate the moderator, Kunal, sir. You have done a very nice moderator. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It has been a learning experience for me as well, doing this digitally. But yeah, you all have been great as panelists and audience. Thank you so much.
Yeah, within the range of 1 hour, it has been moderated very nicely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank
Have
you.
a nice day to all
Bye.
of
Have
you.
a nice day.